Okay. So we're just on time now. So we have a little time this evening to look at this new book that came out at the end of last year about Padmasambhava. Almost all the texts in the book were translated together with Lama, and some of the practices I did a lot with Lama. So Padmasambhava means born from a lotus or arising from a lotus. And so the book has the title Lotus Source. The lotus is the symbol of purity. Even if it's present in the dirty pond, the lotus itself is fresh and clean. So it's used as a symbol for many aspects of Dharma, including the primordial purity of our mind. So we can read it as the lotus purity, which is the source of everything, or the source from which the lotus arises in its purity. Padma Sambhava is both a historical figure, coming to Tibet in the 7th century of the Christian era. He is also a deity incorporated into tantric practice. And he is also the symbol or the presence of our own mind. In order to follow the path of Tantra and Dzogchen, devotion is very important, because devotion softens the mind. It supports us in appreciating the good qualities of someone other than ourselves. And it gives us an image of our own potential, a vital sense of how we might be able to arise. So the whole of one's Dharma practice can be developed according to Padmasambhava. Born from a lotus is one of the 4 methods of birth according to the tradition. You can be born from a womb, from an egg, from heat and moisture, or from a lotus. And as some of us looked when we considered the earlier book from last autumn, Longing for Limitless Light, when we make it to Dzogchen, to the pure land of Amitabha, we also are born inside a lotus. Born from a lotus indicates a formation arising which is not based on material. It's not arising from a material substratum. It means this is a body of light manifesting from purity, an illusory body, an apparition, the appearance of something which is nothing. This is actually our own situation. Of course, you can study anatomy and look at your body and learn the names of bones and blood vessels and major organs and so on. Then you see, oh, I am full of all these different things. They exist and I exist. But from the point of view of our Dharma practice, this is not a helpful view. Because if we say heart, in English anyway, different languages put a different name on this seeming thing. If we want to stay alive, we want our heart to be connected with other things inside our body. So although we say heart, we're meaning heart plus arteries and veins and blood supply and liver and brain and so on. Our body, what we call our body, is a complex dynamic system of energy exchange. When we see this, we have the basis for receiving the blessing of Padmasambhava by dissolving in light. the pure energy or simple energy of light, according to the tradition, manifests diversity through the 5 colors of light, which manifest as the 5 elements and as all the components and functioning of our body. When we start to experience our body as energy, we can understand more easily how rapidly our experience is affected by changes. We eat food and we feel different. We feel tired and we rest and we feel different. All of the outer and inner movements give rise to new moments of how it is to be me. Our ordinary sense that, okay, I exist and things happen to me. This disguises the fact that there is no one item or quality or thing which is an enduring basis for our self-identity. When I believe in my own autonomy, my fundamental isolation as this inherently existing person, then obscuration is thick. Then I have to start with me. I want to practice the Dharma. I want to gain enlightenment. I want to help all beings. I am the one who is going to do these things. But both Tantra and Dzogchen and Mahamudra, they all say, this, you're starting in the wrong place. There is no solid, substantial basis of your self-identity. It is the belief in your separate identity which veils you and hides your own true basis and expression. So I have the truth of my life and the illusion or delusion of my life. So how can I leave the reified, materialized, substantial, false construct of my individual self in order to open to and merge into the simple actuality of my presence? Well, for us in the tradition, Padma Sambhava is the key method. I cannot enlighten myself, because when I start with myself, I'm starting in the darkness. But when we have connection to Padma Sambhava, then the light, which is Padma Sambhava, shines into us, and this dissolves the obscurations of our limiting beliefs. And this allows our natural clarity or luminosity to shine forth. In the traditional example, it is as if we live like a lamp inside a clay pot. The clay pot has a definite shape. This is like our confidence that, oh, I am me, I am myself. I can tell you about myself because I have this kind of shape or this set of qualities. But when we do the practice with Padma Sambhava, either gently or as a sudden abrupt moment, we can dissolve or crack open this clay pot. Then the intrinsic light of the mind shines forth. This is not an object for us to admire, otherwise duality will continue. What's important is to awaken to the fact that we are indeed this light. All the practices in this book are designed to promote the awakening to our own true ground and expression. The book contains many different aspects of practice. The first are designed to develop merit. For many Western people, this is important because many people seem to have tendencies to depression, dislike of self, even self-hatred. When we develop merit, we develop it by taking refuge, by affirming our intention to work for others, and by practicing generosity, giving, making offerings, and purification, and being happy that others are doing well, and dedicating the merit. And in particular, we pray to the Buddhas to continue to turn the wheel of Dharma, to teach so that Dharma is available for all beings and not to vanish into nirvana. When you think of many of the things you do just to maintain your life, going to the shops, cooking food, doing washing, and so on, without being proud or narcissistic, we're pulled in just for our survival to a lot of self-referential activity. We do the things we feel we need to do or want to do, or that we see other people expect us to do. But when we do that seven branch or seven aspect practice I just touched on, all of what we are doing is for all, for the good of all, for the benefit of all beings. When we take the Bodhisattva vow, you say that we will work for the benefit of all beings, and the teacher says, well, today you are born in the family of the Buddhas. Now your life has meaning. That is to say, being for the other is the source of deep meaning, and being for ourselves is a source of very shallow meaning. So when we go through a book like this and practices inside, apart from the very last, one or two at the end, where it's better to have a direct transmission, most of it is publicly available. You can do it when you like. So one of the functions of accumulating merit is that we feel that we are a good receptacle for Dharma, a good vehicle for Dharma, that we are worthy to receive the blessings of the Buddha, that we can awaken and become Padmasambhava. So we believe Padmasambhava is special, so that when we believe we become Padmasambhava, we are full of these specific qualities of being able to work ceaselessly for the benefit of others. So the book begins with a series of prayers and aspirations. Prayer is very important because it provides an emotionally enriched method of developing one-pointed attention. When you do this calming practice of Shine, focusing on a simple object like the sensation of breath at the nostrils, the purpose is to calm the mind. And because I'm very calm, I'm not distracted. But as we might know from our own practice, this is not so easy to do. But if, for example, you were out with a small child and the child ran ahead and they're coming to a big road, then you're running after them, shouting and going through the people as quickly as you can. Something is at stake, something important. It disturbs your energy so that you're running, you're out of breath, you don't care, you just have to save them. Oh, in the text it says, when you consider the nature of samsara and how difficult it is to awaken from it, and that everything you accumulate is liable to get lost or to vanish because of impermanence, and anyway, death is coming and you will have to leave everything behind. And your life is arising not on the basis of your conscious intention alone or even largely, but manifesting from karmic tendencies developed long ago. So when we reflect on this, the text say you should be like a person with their hair on fire. It's not about being complacent and, oh, these things happen. There is a quality of desperation, which is also vital for Dharma practice. I am lost. Please save me. I need your help. This crying out to the deity or to the Lama is a very important practice, because the causal matrix of the development of samsara is duality, the separation of subject and object, of self and other. Then the tantric approach is to take the structure which binds us and transform it into the path of freedom. So we pray to Padmasambhava, please save me. You are awareness and emptiness. I am this opaque, cloudy bundle of clinging, of desire and aversion. But the cause of this dense, impenetrable, seemingly true sense of my individual self, this cause of this is contingent, adventitious. It arises suddenly. Awareness is intrinsic, there by itself. Ignorance, duality, all the qualities of personalities, likes and dislikes and so on, all of this is arising from a sudden moment of unawareness of the true ground, which is emptiness. It's an accident, a mistake. Siya Lama used to describe it like a drunk man wandering home and falling down a flight of stairs. There is a disorientation, a confusion. What? Huh? Huh? And then a gradual, oh, here I am. I have to go this way. So the disorientation separates us from the flow of experience, non-dual with the open ground. We are shocked into separation. So as an antidote to that, we can use the syllable pet as a way of shocking ourselves out of unawareness. But when we feel very lost, even that may be difficult for us to do, because we can't recognize our openness as freedom. We think we get frightened and so contract even more. So then it's very helpful to pray to Padmasambhava, please save me. To imagine Padmasambhava on the crown of your head or in your heart, to have him with you all the time, so that when the pool of the familiar appearances of the world seems to call you into habitual reactivity, you're able to hang on to this felt sense, Padmasambhava is more important than anything else. When I die, I will leave my apartment, my possessions, my friends, family, and so on. In the general text, it says, when you die, you go alone with only your karma as companion. But Padmasambhava is not limited by death. He's not limited by our knowledge of this world. He is able to go with us through the various bardo intermediate periods that come with death. So when we study the 6 realms, one aspect is to have a little bit of anxiety. Oh, I don't want to go to the lower realms. And I don't want to fall asleep in the higher realms. I want to be in the human realm with access to the Dharma. But of course, in each of the 6 realms, there are Buddhas. And they bring the Dharma forward to the various forms of sentient beings according to the capacity of these beings. Similarly, in the book, it describes King Golden Hand, is a short text which we also have in the book on the butter lamp prayer, which is a way of imagining rays of light spreading out to all the darkest dimensions in samsara. And this is to strengthen our idea that there is no place in samsara where Buddhas are not present, where light is not present, where kindness is not present. Then we have many more prayers describing the structure of samsara, describing the nature of limitation, and reaching out to form a bridge of faith between our heart and that of Padmasambhava. And then we have a biography of Padma Sambhava, which is a terma text discovered by Sarah Kandro about just over 100 years ago. It's a very beautiful short biography that highlights the movement of Padmasambhava's life, where he was born in Udayana and coming into India, his various teachers, and so forth, and finally his going to Zangdopalri. When we look at the story of his life, we see that it wasn't just a smooth progression without difficulties. Many problems arose in his life, but these problems were useful to Padmasambhava because they helped the unfurling of his qualities, just as a banner could be unfurled so that it flutters in the wind. As in the sutra level text, the sharp weapons wheel in the previous book, Finding Freedom, when the peacock eats the poison aconite, the poison causes its colors to become brighter. But if the crow eats the aconite, it dies. So that is part of our devotion. We are saying to Padmasambhava, turn me from a crow into a peacock, so that I'm not distressed or defeated by all the many challenges and difficulties of life. Without reifying the situation and making it very solid and burdensome, may I be able to stay with the expressive, energetic quality of whatever is arising, so that by turning towards whatever is coming in my direction, I will develop both the wisdom of seeing the emptiness of these phenomena and the skillful means or kindness, which allows me to extend the range of my responsive qualities so that I can work with these circumstances. In the biography of Padmasambhava, it becomes clear that he is not settling himself in fixed judgments about the world. He avoids that solidification. He stays pliable and responsive. So we can see at the moment around the Ukraine, the Russians are digging into one position of entitlement. The Ukrainians, along with some of the European countries, are taking up a position of defensiveness against this. Each sees the other as the enemy. And because each one sees, oh, you want to harm me, it's difficult for them to see that the other side also feels threatened. So the anxiety on both sides manifests as anger towards the other, and the danger of conflict increases. We also know this in our own life. You can develop resentments or grudges towards work colleagues or neighbors or family members. You can feel it towards people in other lineages in Buddhism or people in your own Sangha. But in the life of Padmasambhava, he's showing, don't move into friction and conflict. Experience yourself as this open potential which can manifest different vibrations of energy. So you can pacify situations or increase positive aspects, or use your powerful presence to control the situation, or you can dismantle or destroy the situation. These 4 activities are very important. Most often in life, we don't know exactly the right method in advance. If we're going to respond with situations, into situations, we have to have our knowledge and skills and presence absolutely here, right in our fingertips, not lying on a bookshelf. Then after the biography, we have 3 extended prayers to reinforce our connection with Padmasambhava as a living presence in our life. Knowing about Padmasambhava kind of warms the air around us a little bit. But if we want our heart to be warm, then we have to bring him into our heart. So we remind ourselves of aspects of his life and his qualities, and we're saying, you are very important to me. If I could be near someone like you, I would feel safe. I will remember you, and I will keep you safe to me in my memory and in my thoughts. I can have you as a kind of invisible friend. So by getting to know about Padmasambhava's way of being, we can imagine, oh, what would Padmasambhava do in this situation? How would he respond? And then we have a short practice of Padmasambhava himself. This is a practice whereby we become Padmasambhava. It's a tantric practice, and according to the tradition, it's best if you can receive the initiation for this. But as Sri Lama said many times, the main connection you get with Padmasambhava is through your own heart. You can get many initiations into Padmasambhava, but nothing changes in you because you're adding that blessing onto yourself. But when you pray from the heart, and you pray like a small, sad, lost child with tears in your eyes, then you can crack out of the shell of the ego. Once this encapsulating or wrapping ego falls away, you have your naked heart full of longing. So then we pray, Lama Kieno. Guru, hear me, think of me, be with me. We can also recite the mantras of Padmasambhava in the 7-line prayer. The key point is to have such an intense and desperate longing that nothing else matters. That, for example, Padmasambhava, Siya Lama was never worried what people thought of him. When we had been up in the hills in India, we came down. There were maybe 8 of us in a small party, and we came by bus. So we got into the bus station in Chandigarh. So we had many tin boxes with books and so on the roof of the bus, and we took them down and all our baggage. And it was the 10th day of the lunar month, which is the day particularly dedicated for Padmasambhava. So the Lama said, okay, now we do the puja. So we sat on the ground in the bus depot with buses coming and going and many people going this way and that. And we got out all the drums and bells and started our long puja. He was showing us, if you are really focused on Padmasambhava, you will have no sense of worrying what other people think about you. That's irrelevant. Your mind is one-pointed. So then in the practice, we take the initiation of the white light from the Guru's forehead, the red light from the throat, the blue light from the heart, and then all these 3 lights together. This is the heart of the Guru Yoga in the Tantric way. Some of us looked at this last year in relation to Lama Chetsampa's commentary, where he describes the various stages of that practice. The absolute basis of the Vajrayana or the Tantra is that the light of the Buddha's awakening is stronger than any darkness. So, whatever obscurations you have inside you, maybe you've done many bad things, or you're full of envy or hatred. Maybe you try to read the Dharma books, but you feel you're stupid and you can't understand anything. Whatever limiting behaviors of body, of voice, of mind arise, all of these can be dissolved in the light of the blessing of Padmasambhava. This short practice is very, very beautiful and very powerful. It's a terma practice which was discovered by Siya Lama's first incarnation, Nuden Dorji Dropendingpa Drolotsao. And due to that, it's very warm, it's fresh from the time of Padmasambhava and comes able to replenish and revitalize our Dharma life. On the website, you can hear the practice being recited, so you can learn the chants if you want to say it in Tibetan, or you can also say it in English, and maybe it will come in other languages later. And then we have 2 prayers for being born in Zangdopalri. When Padmasambhava left Tibet, he went on a magic horse to this land of cannibals and entered into the body of the king. He expelled the mind of the king to a pure land and took on the form of the demon king. And in the form of the demon king, he gradually shifts his behavior to become more sweet, more helpful, more kind. And so the whole kingdom becomes sweeter without any need for conflict. This is another way of telling the story of Sita, who is captured and taken by Ravana, the demon king. And then Ram and Lakshman and Hanuman have to go to Lanka, to the island, the Chamadvip, to rescue Sita, and they have a great battle. So this way of understanding the story is about skillful means. If possible, avoid conflict, but try to find a creative way, even a trickster's way, to work with the limiting factors of the situation. So just in our previous book, The Longing for Limitless Light, we had a lot of description of the Pure Land of Sukhavati or Dzogchen. So here we have the description of the territory of this hill, the copper-colored hill of Zangdopalri, on which is the palace of Lotus Light. And this is where Padmasambhava is now. Being the Lotus Source, manifesting from the Lotus as an 8-year-old child, that was his origin. And he came into the Lotus in the Danakosha Lake in Odiyana from a Hri, letter Hri, which came from Amitabha's heart. Oh, we say Padmasambhava was never born. He just manifested. This is the unchanging Vajra body. Oh, he is still present in Zangdopalri this 1,000 years later, more than 1,000 years. So then we have the sense, oh, that is where I should go when I die. When you were born in this life, as a baby coming out from your mother, you were born into a family or maybe a hospital and then an orphanage. And you're immediately being influenced by the emotions and the way of life and the ease or tension that's present in that family or situation. The plasticity of your potential is being squeezed and pulled by the personality of your parents, your siblings, your teachers, and so on. So if one can avoid having to go through the birth process, even to get a precious human birth, that's an advantage. Of course, it's possible through our practice to gain liberation at the moment of death through awakening in the bardo of the dharmata or in the bardo of becoming. But when you die, people can come and shake your body, move it around. If you die in a hospital, you're likely to have tubes stuck in you, and then people coming and wanting to clean the body and prepare it for the funeral and so on. So trying to ensure the best supportive conditions to enter into the death experience in a state of meditation and maintain that for 2 or 3 days after death, so that you can go through in a lucid way the various stages of the bardos. That's hard to arrange. Oh, in the last main practice in the book, we have a very helpful text, which is the profound instruction for using death as the path. It is a POA text, which means it's a way of transferring your mind from your body into the mind of Padmasambhava. It is a practice to do when you are near the point of death. If there is a skilled and powerful meditator, they can also do it on behalf of someone who's dying, but that's a real accomplishment. So, in a sense, this practice is a parallel one with the visualization of Padmasambhava that came in the earlier text. In that text, you were gathering yourself together through your devotion so that only Padmasambhava is important, so that when the light comes into you, you really feel the purification. And then with Padmasambhava on top of your head, his body merges, rounds itself into a small ball of light that comes through the top of your head into your heart. And your body, which is light, merges into that ball of light. And then this unified ball of light gets smaller and smaller till it's just one tiny point, which then vanishes. So this dissolving light is the medium or the vehicle through which your consciousness, your dualistic consciousness, is brought into absolute merging in emptiness. And by remaining relaxed, open, and present in nothing, there is no basis for duality. And so the structures of the various 8 consciousness that we manifest dissolve, and we find ourselves in formless awareness that has no top or bottom or side, is infinite. And then within that spacious awareness, manifestation occurs, and we have the integrity of appearance and emptiness and awareness. So this final practice in the book is using the same kind of dissolving of duality as a means of liberating ourselves from dualistic consciousness into awareness. So if you read it, you can see there are many different stages in the practice. But essentially, we gather our life essence, the essential quality of our consciousness, and send it up through the top of our head into the heart of Padmasambhava. And if you do this intensely, then your consciousness will leave your body. So if you want to do that, it's very important to get the proper transmission and to do it with a properly trained Lama who can protect you in the practice period. Nothing is forbidden, but you do need to be attentive to your own vulnerabilities and level of competence. If you do it at the wrong time and you die, which you can of course do, that's what it does, then it's you get the karmic burden of suicide. The reason for bringing these texts together in the book is to provide us with not only methods of purification and awakening, but to support us in our key practice, which is, I want to awaken in order to help all sentient beings. I remember asking Siya Lama that if an tulku like himself, an apparitional presence, was to be born in a village far from any education, in a family that had no connection with Dharma, would he still know what to do? And he said, of course. But for me, it wouldn't be like that. I want to be in a place surrounded by Dharma practice. And if you find that remembering to do your practice and remembering to hold it in mind through the course of the day, if you find that difficult, then imagine what it will be like 9 months in your mother's body and then squeezed out of the birth canal. Plenty of chance to forget everything. So that is the reason for doing the practice. Because if I want to help all sentient beings, and I'm born in a place where no one reminds me of this profound heart intention, then all that practice and effort can just be dispersed into the wind. The text also hopefully gives you an encouragement to pursue your Dharma study and practice. And if you get the chance and you find some well-trained and good-hearted lamas, then try to learn these methods and get the transmission. Everything is about connectivity. Getting a transmission or the empowerments, these are all methods of reinforcing and deepening your connection with the Dharma. This is why Sangha is important. to have some remembrance and encouragement to do the practice. So that's a very brief introduction to this book. Some of you may find some real benefit in it. This weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, we have a teaching on a short Dzogchen text, which is from a relative of Sia Lama. And if you are interested and you join us in that exploration of the text, I think you'll find that between the qualities of the Vajrayana path and the Dzogchen path, there's only harmony. There is no contradiction. So thank you very much to our translators this evening, and to Pedro for holding the computer background and making the recording. It's very lovely that at the moment many people collaborate to help prepare texts and make this Dharma available. So I wish you good evening and good practice. And hopefully maybe sometime this year we can actually meet face to face. So bye for the moment. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.